Everyone, welcome back to my videos on visas in the Philippines. The next visa up will be the 13A permanent resident visa by marriage. In the first, I covered the tourist visa, and then the second video covered the Balikbayan privilege. Now the 13A. Like the BB visa, number one thing is that you must be married for this. Okay, so if you're not married, don't intend to get married, then this one probably is not going to do you much good. Maybe you know somebody that could help. Anyway, I'll be able to get out the information for you. The first part of this video I'm going to do right now is just to get a look to see if this is right for you, okay? Because now the next two videos, this one and the SRRV visa, they are both long-term type of visas here, okay, for staying long-term. There's quite a bit of misinformation between the two of them. And I'm sure that some of these things are deal breakers for people. Getting some of the information mixed up from one to the other. People just hear that, they go, oh no, okay. And they just don't get it. There's probably people here right now that might be able to use this one or possibly the other one, and they just don't understand because this misinformation, I'm sure, is causing a lot of problem. I know it did for me because I'm on this visa now, but when I first got here, I heard, oh, how much it cost, how difficult it was, I needed a lawyer, things like that. Then I started researching and found out exactly how it worked. And it really wasn't too awful bad. But I did see a lot of misinformation. So I want to clear this up between the two, the 13A and the SRRV. Okay, so for the 13A, number one, this has nothing to do with citizenship, okay? Nothing at all. There's no part of this that has to do with citizenship. You retain your passport. Like for me, I'm from the United States. I must retain and keep my passport up to date and effective. Okay. The one area I see probably where this gets confused. In order to get citizenship in the Philippines, you must be here continuously as a resident for 10 years, unless you are married. Then it drops to 5 years. But now that has nothing to do with what visa you're on or anything like that. And it's not automatic neither. You must still go through the entire process just like anybody else would that would come here to gain citizenship. Has nothing to do with dual citizenship. So this citizenship is completely non-affected by the 13A. There's one. Number two, probably the biggest one I see, is there's no deposit of cash required in a Philippine bank for the 13A visa. That is the SRRV visa, where they require a bank deposit. And no bank deposit of any kind is required for a 13A. Number three, you do not need a lawyer or an agent to do this. I'm not very good at this kind of stuff, and I found myself able to do it relatively easy. And I didn't have the advantage of getting information off social media. I looked around, I got some misinformation. I didn't want to deal with it. Some time went by. I was here actually 2 years before I did mine. And well, one thing is you have a little bit more time on your hands when you retire to the Philippines. So I did a little bit more research and I started finding out the actual answers to things. And one of them actually came from immigration and just looking at a checklist that they give you. And went down the checklist and found, oh, they don't ask for this, they don't ask for that, you don't have to do this. All the things that I'd heard in different places. That made me just not want to do this. So, first off, you don't need a lawyer. You can You can get an agent to do this. You can get a lawyer to do this. They're going to charge you for it. It might be worth it to you. That's up to you. I just want to provide you with the actual facts and how they work. Okay. Number 4, just as it says, it is a permanent visa. You do not renew this visa. Okay. Of course, anyone can lose their visa here depending on what happens to them. In the case of the 13A, you are being petitioned by the Filipino spouse that you are married to. In most cases here, like me, married to a Filipina. She is the petitioner. She is the one that's requesting the government to give me a permanent residence. Okay? If something happened between her and I, we separated. She could go to immigration and request that she no longer be my sponsor. And at that point, I would have to downgrade either to a tourist visa or I can go out and get the SRRV visa, because you don't have to be married for that one. Okay? If, God forbid, she was to pass away, I would have to downgrade, and I would no longer be able to have a 13A. But it is a permanent visa. It is called a permanent visa by the Philippine government, Bureau of Immigration. Okay, so just clear that up. You don't renew it. No 5-year, no 10-year. I hear everything about this having to be renewed and things of that nature. Now, you do have to do an annual report each year. In fact, we just got done with that. We're just now into March. The first of the year, you go in and you hand them your ID card, the ACR I-card, and you pay 310 pesos, which is approximately $6 US, and they give you a receipt, and you met the requirements of the annual report. Basically, foreigners just have to check in once a year, and yeah, I'm here, I'm coming in, I'm doing everything legal. That's basically all it is. It's very simple. It's 5 minutes. You can do it at any immigration office anywhere in the Philippines, and you do that once a year. The second thing, you must renew your ACR card every 5 years. That's the only thing you renew, is your ACR card. Your ACR card is not your visa. The ACR card is your immigration ID card. Okay? Just clear that up. That's all that is. Okay? So there are some of the misinformation that comes out. Now, cost is a big factor between the two visas, the 13A and the SRRV. First off, the 13A, it's done in 2 parts. When you do it here in the Philippines, it's done in 2 parts. The first part, you go in and you fill out the forms. It's just a few forms, and it's going to require a few visits to immigration office. And you pay, for the first year, you're going to pay 11,100 pesos, which comes out right now to 213 US dollars. Okay? Now there's a second part to it, is after 1 year, you basically do the same thing and you reapply again. What it is that the first year is called a probationary period. Okay? Just like many other things, you have probation. Well, on this, you're on probation for 1 year. So you get a visa for 1 full year. Okay? You get your ID card, you get everything with this 11,100. No other fees during the year at all. Okay? You reapply, and the second time you do it, the paperwork's just a little bit different, very, very little. The whole process is almost exactly the same. So it's real easy because you've already done it once now. And you pay, again there, 9,300 pesos. Okay? When that one is approved, approximately 60 days later, you are permanent. You receive your order from the immigration with a permanent visa, permanent status. At that time, you also receive a new ID card, and it shows you as a permanent resident. Total cost of that is 20,400 pesos. Total cost USD 391 USD. Okay, not very much. Uh, if you are on a tourist visa, the first year that you're on a tourist visa, you're going to pay about 23,000 pesos just for 1 year. Your second and third year on the tourist visa, it comes down to about 20,000. So it's about the same as your second and third year. Okay. So after that, there are no other fees other than the 310 for the annual report, and 5 years you have to get a new ID card, immigration ID card, ACR card. Okay, now on to the SRRV. The least expensive one, and it's really a good deal they have, is for veterans. Okay, you don't have to be retired. You have to have an honorable discharge, DD 214. Okay, and a guy I just recently talked to about this, he said his total cost after forms and some items he needed from the States and just miscellaneous was 3,200. Okay, the cost on the SRRV, all of them have the same basic processing fee of 1,400 US dollars. Then there is a bank deposit. The bank deposit on the veteran visa is 1,500 US dollars. And then this guy told me he had a miscellaneous of about 250, 300 USD. So that brought his total to 3,200 pesos, $3,200. That comes out to 166,000 pesos. Now that's the least expensive one. From there are three others or four others. And like I said, the processing fee stays the same, 1,400. You have a bank deposit of either 10,000, 20,000, or 50,000 US dollars, depending on your age, depending on whether or not you have a pension that meets the threshold. I think one of them is like $800 a month. So that all depends on what you have and what category you would fall in. They also have an annual fee, processing fee each year of 360 US dollars every year. The veteran SRRV is $10. I believe that's a year. I think somewhere I saw that it's every 3 years. So basically it's hardly nothing for their yearly processing fee. Okay, so yes, there is quite a bit of money involved with the SRRV. One thing about that deposit is they have certain stipulations that you can use that for a payment to purchase a condominium here, because you are allowed to buy a condominium. There's a lot of details in the SRRV that we'll get into when I do that video. But I just wanted you to see the two of these here. And this way you're going to be able to make a decision whether or not one way or the other with the proper information. I don't want you to have to sit through a long series of boring videos about all the details on how to do one or the other and then find out, a big item and it's a deal breaker for you. Okay. Advantages. 13A, definitely low cost. Okay. The SRRV has several advantages that you do get, and it's why they call it a VIP. VIP, obviously you pay for it, but one thing you have is you have no travel tax when you fly out here. You also don't pay the ECC. The 13A, you pay the travel tax and you pay an ECC. That's the exit clearance. I talked about that in the tourist visa. The difference with this one is on the 13A is that you can get it at the airport. It makes it more convenient. The disadvantage is that you pay twice as much for it as you do if you're on a tourist visa. and you have to pay it each time you leave during the year. So that can add up. So the SRRV can be an advantage there. If you travel in and out of the country often each year, your travel tax and ECC costs can start to rack up. The SRRV could definitely be an advantage to you there. Obviously, you don't have to be married. You can be married, but you don't have to be. Okay, so either person has the option on the SRRV. All the work is done by the PRA. That's the Philippine Retirement Authority. They run the whole operation. It's been approved by immigration. They do certain things to meet all the requirements that immigration requires on foreign nationals. So you don't have an ACR card, but you have a PRA identification card. Well, that same thing meets the requirements. You're checking in once a year when you take care of your fees. They accept that as the same thing as an annual report. So they do all the work, though, for you. Okay, you don't have to do the paperwork. They have agents, authorized agents throughout the Philippines that take care of this. They come out. You're VIP. They are going to do all the work for you, all the legwork. I think the biggest disadvantage is you have to go. Now, don't hold me to this. I believe you have to go to Makati in Metro Manila, their main office, to do the swearing in. I don't know what the swearing in thing is. It's not, again, it's not a citizenship. I guess they have some sort of little ceremony, and you have to go there for it. Now, that's what I've heard. That's not that bad. Okay. Just a couple more things I noted down here about it. 13A. So if you are going to do it yourself, it's just a few simple forms. It's not terribly difficult, and a few documents that you have. Okay. And it's going to require a few visits to immigration. I think I had to do 4 visits to do it. Okay. And you have to do it again in 1 year. Okay. You have to do the probationary year, and then you apply again. They actually call the second one an amendment, to amend it from a probation to a permanent. That's how they word it. Okay. And it takes about 60 days to get it done. So there's a little bit of time involved. Okay. It's not something you can just do immediately in 1 day at immigration office. Okay. You're going to apply for it, and then you're going to have an interview, which was very simple. You have to sit down with your wife, and they have an immigration lawyer there. They ask you like 3 simple questions. Okay. And probably another misconception is that you have to have proof of financial capacity. I don't know anybody that has ever been asked anything other than the question. You are nowhere in the documents are you required to provide bank statements or your pension statement or any of that at all. You are not required to provide those documents. When we sit down at the interview, they simply ask, how do you have an income to provide for yourself with here? I didn't even have Social Security. My wife has a business here. I have no income. My wife has the business. And we told them that, and they said, that's fine, no problem. And on to the next question, how did we meet? And where do we live? I think it was actually 3 questions. Very simple. They see foreigners every day. Western foreigners, just like myself, come here to live, to stay. They marry Filipina. They see them all the time. And I think they probably know the minute someone walks in the door whether they're being approved or not. I have never heard of anybody that didn't get approved. I have never heard of anybody that got asked to provide documents for financial. Now, about the financial. There is also a way for you to get the 13A like for me in the United States. You go to the Philippine Embassy. You can start the process on the website there. Uh, Philippine Embassy, United States, or your country. I'm sure Australia and Canada and England are all going to be probably the same. You go there and you start the 13A permanent resident visa there. And so now there's some advantage and disadvantage. The big advantage to it is that when you come here, you are on the permanent visa right away. There is no probationary period. Okay, you have a packet of paperwork that you bring with you on the plane here, and you go to immigration within like the first 7 days, and you give them the package. They look it over. They do a couple things for your ACR card, and you return in a week or two and pick up your ACR card, and boom, you're done. You are permanent resident. No going back and doing it the second time. The disadvantage is that when you do this in the United States, you are required to provide financial statements. Where do you get your money? How do you get your money? Pension statement, savings, things of that nature. I'm sure the threshold on that is going to be very low because cost to live here is not that bad. You also have to get a medical physical, okay? Fairly simple thing to do in your home country. Like I said, you don't have to do the probation. All right, so that's also available to do if you have time before you come here. It's not that I did it here with the 2 visits. Like I said, it really wasn't very hard. I'm going to go through the details of it all, how to find all your forms and your documents, which actually is only a handful. How to take care of all that stuff, simple and easy, save you some missteps that you might have and make it as easy as I can for you. I actually went through it, breezed right through it, no missteps, and I basically did it from the checklist, which basically gave me all the information I needed to do it right one time. And I'm going to provide that in detail and how you can get it done. It'll probably take a series of them. I'll do it kind of in the same sequence as it's done. There's getting things ready. There's going down initially and putting in all the paperwork and paying the fee, and then there's a few days, and then you have an interview, and then you've got about 6 weeks or so to wait and check the website for your name to come up that it's been approved. Then all you do is go back in and they stamp your passport and they take care of your ACR card, and then you're done. And then approximately 10 months later, you start the process again about 60 days before that 1-year visa is up. But you are pretty good at doing it at that point because you did it once already. Just a couple different things in the documents and 1 or 2 less items that you have to do while you're there. So it's real easy, and I'll walk you right through it. All right, well, thanks for checking this out. I hope this is able to give you a little bit better sense of how these 2 permanent visas work, the 13A and the SRRV, which one will work for you best. And this way you don't have to sit through my long, boring videos. All right, well, thanks for checking out this video, and we'll get into the details of the 13A next. Okay, thanks so much, and please subscribe, like, and share. My little barangay blaster. This is so much easy to get around in the barangays here. In our area, the streets are real narrow, real hard to get around with your car. Already had so many dings and repairs to the damn thing. I don't even like to get it out of the garage anymore. So we use this. It's battery powered, eco-friendly.